this video is sponsored by MPB.
In a recent video I discussed a little bit of a shuffle around in camera camp over here, and I chose my GX8, the Lumix GX8, as my new travel everyday carry. I was lucky enough to go to LA and Seattle recently, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to actually put my money where my mouth is and take it out for a proper spin. So expect many photographs and lots of thoughts and feelings about the delightful, tiny GX8. So just in case you've been following this event quickly, it's sort of like 3 in 1. The first couple of days I had my G9 Mark II at the Lumix Collective because I didn't want to sort of rock up to a Lumix event with an old spray painted camera. And then after that I was off having fun on my own. We spent some more time in LA and then we went to Seattle. We followed some Seahawks games, lost both of them. Such is life as a Seahawks fan. So I have to say, when I swapped from the G9 Mark II over to the GX8 on this trip, I sighed a little sigh of relief, because as much as the G9 Mark II is blooming epic, and I have a full video of that, it's my previous one, I absolutely love just being able to keep my camera on my sort of Peak Design strap. It's very light, even with larger lenses. I was using a 12-60 and some prime lenses for this trip, and it was still incredibly portable, and I could forget that it was there 90% of the time. Yes, you do lose a ton of video features and loads of other things because this is an older sort of camera, but I do think the photos stand up. And even having a little bit of in-camera stabilization, it was the first Lumix camera to ever have dual IBIS, so you can get some really nice long exposures even handheld with this camera. And of course we have weather sealing, though I'm very lucky I didn't need any of that. The sun was shining throughout. One thing about UK versus US street photography I found is in the UK I favour maybe a 40mm or a 35mm in full frame terms. So I like the Lumix 14mm f2.5 or the Olympus 17mm 1.8. In LA particularly, everything is so vast and far away, everything is huge, and I just felt like I couldn't get the compositions I wanted because everything was so much sort of bigger than it is in the UK. So I actually got a ton of use out of my 25mm f1.4. This is a delightful lens. It's a little bit bigger than the other two, but still pin sharp, really good in low light, and great for street photography. Now, as you may have noticed on this channel, if you've seen a couple of these videos, I am not a viewfinder purist. If a camera doesn't have an EVF or a viewfinder, I don't overly mind. I just value having portable, interesting cameras to work with. However, in the LA sunshine, I did find the EVF worth its weight in gold. I can really see how people in sort of sunnier climates more or less need an EVF, because the screen visibility, even on sort of more modern cameras like the G9 Mark II, just wasn't quite where it needed to be, so having the eyepiece was really handy. And I'm sorry to say, I've yet to actually use the articulating EVF for anything other than showing it off and going, how weird is this, to anyone that asks. I'm sure I'll find a use for it one day. Now, I've mentioned I didn't need weather sealing in terms of rain, but I was on the beach a lot, and some of these paths when we did a hike up to Griffith's Observatory got a little bit dusty, and I'm very glad that I had a little bit more of a robust camera for this trip, because the last thing you need is getting grit or dust or sand inside your camera, and having weather sealing just is that extra peace of mind. And I'm 99% sure spray painting it won't have affected that. I even shot some video clips, and while the IBIS in the GX8 doesn't extend to the video side, it's only the photo side, I still think using a stabilized lens like the 12-60, I got some really nice footage. And it does have the Cine D profile built in, so out of camera it looks kind of nice, but you can also grade it to taste as well. So really good for a photo-centric everyday carry, but if you do want to shoot some video clips, it's more than capable. I got my steps in on this holiday. We were walking around Seattle, we did a heck of a lot of walking around Santa Monica, and having a larger grip on a camera that I'm using for hours on end is so handy. I love things like the Pen F or the GX800, as I've had videos on this channel to prove, but having the flatter grip just isn't ergonomic if you're out shooting for a long day. I find this grip perfect. It's just enough without it making the camera too bulky. So I've mentioned on this channel a few times that I love a tower. I collect the towers, the great towers. There's a list of great towers, and the Space Needle in Seattle is one of them. And I had a little fangirl. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I've done CN Tower, I've done Skytree in Tokyo, I've done the Stratosphere Tower in Vegas, I've done Skylon Tower at Niagara Falls, I've done TD Tower in Berlin, Olympic Tower in Munich. And I'm slowly ticking them off my list, and the Space Needle was like one of my favourite towers that I wanted to tick off my bucket list, and it absolutely lived up to the hype. There was a 360-degree rotating floor, so you could see down into like the lifts coming up. They were all a bit steampunky and a little bit sci-fi, and I had a great time with my GX8 taking photographs around the tower, of the tower, etc. Love a tower. I know that's a bit niche and a bit weird, but I do not care. And while we're talking about stories of the trip, I was sat in a bar at Venice Beach, living my best life, watching absolute parades of very strange people going past. And all of a sudden, the sky went purple. Now, this is not even overly edited. This is literally what the sky looked like. I've never seen anything quite like it in my life. Unfortunately, I was basically just near a car park, but there was a big pool of water, like a puddle, and I managed to get some reflections. And then I even got this very weird nighttime rollerblader going down the Venice Beach Boulevard thing. And it turned out to be one of my favorite shots of the entire trip. Sometimes you gotta take pictures, even if it's in a car park. So here are some more of my images from this trip. It was great to have such a varying sort of selection of events, you know, from Santa Monica Boulevard to doing Griffith's Observatory to having Seattle in more autumn colours. Actual autumn colours, which I feel like I've completely missed in the UK this year, so that was nice to see. I think the battery life has been superb. I actually managed to do, I believe, 10 of the 14 days without swapping to the second battery, and I didn't have to charge any more than 2. And as you can see, I've used it a heck of a lot, so that's really good. And I have to say, so far, now that I've given it a proper run for its money on a real trip, I have no regrets of choosing this camera to be my main everyday carry for a little while. Now, I do collect cameras. I am quite terrible for it, so it may not be my choice forever, but right now it's doing the job. And when it does come time to change up my cameras, I probably shouldn't trade this one in because I've spray painted it like an idiot. But if you do want to sell any of your equipment, definitely consider the sponsor of this video, which is MPB. Selling couldn't be easier than through MPB. It's so cool. You literally go to the website, type in your model number, they give you a quote instantly, then you can arrange delivery from your doorstep, which is completely free. You don't even need a printer. I don't have a printer. You can just write your reference code on the box. They literally do everything for you short of bringing someone into your house and packing it for you. And then once it's been inspected a day or two later, and they keep you in the loop the whole time via email, you get a lovely chunk of money into your bank account. You know exactly what to expect up front. There's no private selling, there's no haggling, there's nobody letting you down. If you do want to sell any of your equipment and maybe shuffle up your camera lineup a little bit, definitely check out MPB in the links below and see what they can quote you for your existing camera equipment. So I hope you enjoyed the images, and let me know what you think of the GX8. If you enjoyed this video, check out some more videos in my tiny camera series. I shall link some here and here. And yeah, go forth, get old cameras, enjoy photography, and just have fun.